Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I'm so glad you're joining me again today. Today I am making a slimline card with some products from Brutus Monroe and I think it turned out pretty cute. For the background I am working on a panel of Canson Montval 200 GSM watercolor cardstock that I cut to be slightly larger than I needed it to be. And I'm using my Misti to stamp the Snow Scenes stamp set on there from Brutus Monroe, and I'm prepping my cardstock very well with an anti-static powder bag because I will be embossing. If you're using these stamps, I recommend you use a stamping tool. I am using the Misti, but anything that allows you to stamp in the same spot twice or more is preferable for these because these are not photopolymer stamps. Because these aren't photopolymer stamps, you might also want to use temporary adhesive if you're finding that they aren't sticking to the acrylic enough. And of course, using the Misti is also a time saver. I can stamp all of these snowflakes at once, and I can even rotate my panel and stamp the exact same thing on the other side. It's obviously a time saver, but also because I'm stamping these in clear embossing ink, if I wasn't doing this, if I wasn't rotating my panel, it would be very hard to arrange my snowflakes on the other side without really seeing the clear embossing ink of the other snowflakes that I'd already stamped. So this is a really easy way to fill up your panel. And I'm just embossing all of that in Wow Silver Metallic Embossing Powder. Now with that all in place, I can temporarily adhere that onto my blending surface. This is just a white sheet of paper that I laminated, and it makes for a great surface to do your ink blending on. I just adhered it in place with some double-folded purple tape, but you can use temporary adhesive as well, whatever you have on hand. And this just makes it so I don't really have to hold down my panel and I don't get any inky fingers that will leave some undesirable spots later. I'm using Distress Oxide inks for this. I will list all the colors in the description box below, so make sure to check that out. And I'm applying them with some blending brushes. Blending brushes make it really easy to get a nice even blend. I am obviously not trying very hard at the start of this. I'm just trying to cover the entire thing, and then I'll worry about the smoothness of the blend later. And that's usually how I go about blending, especially with Oxide inks because they are very forgiving. They give you a lot of time to move the ink around. Now this is my final color, so I'm finally trying to get all of it smooth and nice. And this is the chipped Sapphire color, and it's my absolute favorite blue in the Distress Oxide line. Now if it wasn't for the video, I'd be rotating my panel around because that makes it a lot easier to blend around the edges, but you can do that at home and just watch me struggle here. Now I'm just taking a clean cloth. I know it doesn't look clean, but I swear it is. It's just stained from years of usage. And I am buffing off any excess ink that is still sitting on top of the embossing powder. You do want to be a little bit careful with this because if there's darker ink sitting on top of the snowflake and you wipe it over the lighter ink, you will see some smudges. I'm taking two different colors of metallic Finetech paint, and this is metallic watercolor that I really love because the coverage is wonderful, and I'm just splattering that on the scene. I'm not worrying too much about the middle portion being nice and splattered because I will be putting my critters there, so I'm just worrying about the edges. Now I wanted to stamp and die cut this Penny the Penguin stamp 5 times. So I saved one of the negative spaces and I'm putting that in the corner of my Misti. I am die cutting everything first, taking the die cuts and putting them into the negative space in my Misti. As you can see, I put some purple tape there to hold it in place. And then I can stamp all the Penny the Penguins at once. And then I can sprinkle them with clear embossing powder and heat set all of them. That's just a neat little trick that makes you not have to line up your die every single time. I'm keeping the coloring very simple. I am using my Karin Brushmarkers for this, putting some color down in the spot I want darkest and blending that out with some clean water on a regular paintbrush. Again, these markers do come with a blending marker. I've said that in basically all the videos I've done with Karin markers, but just if you haven't seen those, they do come with a blending marker, and that gives you a fine result as well. I just prefer doing this because I'm so used to watercoloring. I used a very pale yellow for their tummies, and then I'm using some orange for their feet and beaks, and then I can use black to color in 4 of these penguins. After I've colored in the eyes, of course. I knew I did that. This is a really simple image to color, but I am going to spice it up for the 5th penguin. Sometimes people ask me how I come up with a design, and for this one it's fairly simple to explain. I saw a sentiment in the Snow Scenes stamp set that said, "You're one of a kind," and I thought that would be perfect to do some repeat stamping of this penguin and then color one in special. Of course, it's a perfect sentiment to go with snowflakes because they're all unique, but I thought this was a fun way to use it as well. For the 5th penguin, I am doing some rainbow coloring. And to keep things super easy, I am not even shading this. I want the colors to be super bold, so I'm just using my markers. I am only using my blending method with the clean water and the brush later to blend some colors better together, but for most of it, I am only using the markers. I'm going in rainbow order, obviously, because when you can go for rainbow, why wouldn't you? So I am going from purple back all the way to purple. This wasn't really planned to go back to purple. I figured I'd end with blue, but then I was bad at figuring out the spacing for my colors, so that's where we ended up. For her little wings, I am just using the pink, the orange, and the yellow again, because that's about the area they were in. Now I spaced everything out on my card, and I'm taking away the one special penguin. I'm putting some purple tape over the black penguins, and I am smearing my black ink everywhere. The black paint was not dry yet, especially not on the embossing powder, so yeah, a boo-boo happened. And I didn't really fix it because you know what? It's okay to mess up sometimes. I'm adhering the background onto a slimline card base using some double-sided adhesive. And then with all my penguins attached together, I put some foam tape on the back of them and press them down in place all at once. I can then peel off the purple tape, revealing just how badly my mistakes really were. And then I can put in the rainbow penguin, and I am propping her up on 2 layers of foam tape. I'm also adhering the sentiment, also on 2 layers of foam tape. And that's it. This card is all done, and I forgot to make a matching envelope. Luckily, I had a nice navy blue one lying around. Now, I still like how this card turned out, even with the mistakes on the penguins' bellies, but I think it's still cute. I hope you like it too. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. If you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.